Australia is leading the way in safeguarding our marine ecosystem. With a comprehensive suite of standards and regulations in place, we are actively protecting our oceans and ensuring a thriving environment for future generations. As a seafood-loving nation consuming around 350,000 tonnes a year, our deep connection to our marine life, boasting a recorded 33,000 different species, is both a source of pride and a powerful motivator in our commitment to ocean health. With global emissions and water acidity on the rise, Australia is taking action to protect our abundant seafood and marine ecosystems, setting a powerful example in ocean conservation. In Australia, our beautiful islands are surrounded by the Pacific, Southern and Indian Oceans, as well as the Timor, Tasman and Coral Sea. These oceans are categorised into 6 marine bioregions for us to protect and look after: the Southeast, Temperate East, Southwest, Northwest, North and Coral Sea. 85% of Australians live within 50 kilometres of Australia's coastline. Around the globe, that number is even higher. 90% of the Earth's population live within 35 kilometres of the sea.
I'm Tim Whybrow, a passionate citizen scientist, and I've spent the majority of my life by the sea. Like many, I've grown up exploring and connecting with the oceans across Australia's coastline from a young age.
From my time on this beautiful blue planet, I've noticed a shift in our marine ecosystem. From depleting species of fish to some bleached corals on the Great Barrier Reef, some scientific predictions for the ocean's future health are dire, with decreasing pH levels set to cause a 7th mass extinction of our marine species.
After years of observing from the sidelines, it's time to showcase and investigate. And it's exciting to see how everyday Australians are positively and actively contributing to our marine ecosystem.
From fisheries management and environmental science to aquacultural farming and local fishermen out on the water, Australians are making a real difference for our oceans. Although we're making a positive impact where we can, that doesn't stop the pending doom of the excess carbon being released into our environment. When carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere are higher than the carbon dioxide levels of the ocean surface waters, the water absorbs the excess carbon dioxide, increasing the acidity of the water and lowering the potential of hydrogen, also known as pH.
This increased acidity can eat away the vital nutrients that oysters, prawns, lobsters and other marine species use to produce their skeletons and their shells.
This is the big problem we're facing. Ocean acidification is our biggest threat. Before we explore how some particular species are the key to combating ocean acidification in a variety of formats, it's important to visually showcase how ocean acidification occurs.
Good to see you. Now, we understand that carbon dioxide plays a large role in ocean acidification, but what can we do to demonstrate to the viewers that role that it plays?
So what happens is the Earth works in what's called a carbon cycle, in that what comes in must also go out, so it has to be balanced. We can simply explain this balance process when we think of a tree. So a tree absorbs CO2 and then through the process of photosynthesis, it both converts it to oxygen and stores it. The ocean works in a very similar way. And in fact, the ocean absorbs around 30% of the Earth's CO2 from the atmosphere.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
The ocean's what's called a carbon sink, meaning it absorbs the CO2 from the atmosphere, both for storage and to sustain life. To put its power in perspective, phytoplankton alone absorb more CO2 than all the plants and trees on Earth combined. So the carbon cycle is nothing new. But what is new is the excess carbon entering our environment through human activities. This has shown a huge increase since the Industrial Revolution and when we started burning fossil fuels. At this point in time, there's more carbon dioxide going into our atmosphere than ever before. And what's happening is it's being absorbed by our oceans. That balance that we speak of that has to be just right is now off kilter. There is more CO2 entering our oceans than it can use. in your hand, we have a beaker of water. This beaker of water represents our ocean. Right now, we have a pH of around 7. What that 7 means is that ocean in your hand is currently a balanced system. Now, what we're going to do is put some pH indicator into the water. If you hold that up to the sun, you can see it's the colour green. Green means 7 and neutral on the pH scale. What we're now going to do is have you breathe into that water, therefore putting the carbon dioxide from your body into our ocean system. And what we should see is a colour change. Amazing, isn't it? What we see here is the pH is actually lowered from a 7 to around a 5, so the water has become much more acidic.
So that change in pH could actually be quite detrimental to our marine species.
Oh, very much so. To put that in perspective, black coffee is around a pH level of 5, so the ocean's become much more acidic.
Well, I tell you what, I don't really want to consume a fish or a marine species that's been swimming around in a pH level the same as coffee. It sounds to me like we're in a bit of hot water.
Absolutely.
So we've learnt about how the excess carbon in our atmosphere is affecting our ocean, but what marine species can in fact combat this excess carbon? One of the answers is oysters. Oysters play a significant role in Tasmania's aquacultural economy, with approximately 40 million oysters being grown here in Tasmania each year. Love them or hate them, oysters provide numerous benefits for not only our bodies, but also the environment.
Oysters are a superfood. They're recognised globally because of their nutritional value. In half a dozen oysters, there's every vitamin and mineral your body would need for the day, so that's quite impressive in just a small serve. There is zinc and iron, all your B12 vitamins, selenium, which is really good for human health, all the amino acids. The benefits are for brain function. The antioxidants reduce inflammation. We're also helping to boost your immune system. I think oyster farmers never get a cold.
So I've heard, there is an opportunity that it might increase libido in some way, shape or form. So if someone's having a bit of a rough trot back at home, maybe a dozen oysters is a good little touch.
I think you're absolutely right. We had a guy here have 8 dozen oysters and he was really cuddly with his girlfriend in the car park after he left. So maybe that was excessive. A dozen would probably, bring on some nice moods.
Is there a particular type of oyster that grows best down here in beautiful Tasmania?
Yeah, the Tasmanian oyster industry began from a Japanese oyster, the Pacific oyster, and that's the most grown in Tasmania. The Sydney rock oyster isn't in Tasmania. We've got too cold a water for that species. So the Pacific oysters is the most dominant species. There's a few Angazi farms too now. This is our story of the life cycle of our oyster farm. So we purchased our baby spat here from a hatchery just near Tribunnet. We are really lucky to have a deep water ocean farm. So the oysters will be in the deep water farm up until this point here. So there's 1 step here, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps before they go into the river. And this is where they're housed, and then they get seaweedy after about 6 weeks. So they don't get any water flow. So that's why each step we bring them to shore and then clean the cages and put them back out in the water. So it's quite a lot of labour involved in those steps. The river system is where we kind of harden the oyster and give it a little longer shelf life. So this process can be about a 12-month sit in the river. But then we love the flavour of Great Oyster Bay. So at the next step, we pop them back out in Great Oyster Bay for a couple more cycles.
There are many benefits to the consumption of oysters for our bodies, but why are they good for the environment? We're all quite eager to know, why are oysters beneficial for our environment?
Sadly, for all involved, I could talk on this for hours. It's something I'm terribly passionate about. We, for example, have carbon audited our entire business, backed against the fact that oysters actually sequester carbon in the form of calcium carbonate in their shells. Climate change is a really big topic. There's a really important role for oysters to play in bringing acidification of the oceans hopefully under control by locking up CO2 and locking it up for a long period of time. We are regenerative, strongly regenerative. PETA, World Wildlife Fund, Nature Conservation all put oysters and mussels at the very top of their list of the best seafoods to eat. any waterway that was a normal waterway, and then an oyster farm or a mussel farm is put in that waterway, there's a couple of key parameters that change. Believe it or not, biodiversity increases in any waterway where these shellfish are grown, because they're creating homes and hides for larval fish. They're allowing weeds to grow. They're allowing larger predatory fish to come in. So essentially they're making benign reefs. They increase water quality. They're filter feeders, so they take out the bad things from water. We're starting with a pristine environment, and when we finish our economic endeavours, we're still left with a pristine environment. And I think that's one of the really big cornerstones of what we do.
So does the rising water acidity in our environment concern you as an oyster farmer at all?
In my game, in oyster production, it is of no small concern. There has been some significant difficulties in getting the oyster larvae, the babies, to form their shells because there is too much acidity in the ocean. We cannot let our oceans become too acidic, or most calcium carbonate-based shell life forms are really going to suffer.
Can you list off any species that may be of concern to you in terms of ocean acidification into the future?
One species I have grave fears for if ocean acidification continues will be krill. I believe that there is going to be more difficulties for the krill to go through the metamorphosis through their different life cycles. Hundreds of thousands of tonnes are consumed by wild animals around the world, and we can imagine, sadly, a world without some of those larger vertebrate animals that use krill as their primary food source. As we continue to produce oysters, as the industry continues to grow, we are, by definition, cleaning waterways. We are leaving the environment a better place. If we can continue to eat them, continue to remember the importance that they offer to the ecosystems around the world, then we will all be doing a small part in helping the world become a cleaner and better environment.
Increased demand for oysters supports the need for more farming,
creating a regenerative system where carbon is sequestered in their shells, whilst they filter and clean salt water throughout their life cycle.
With this knowledge at hand, I'll be enjoying every dozen I consume into the future.
However, not all species here in Tasmania are so beneficial, so it's time to investigate.
The long-spine sea urchins are in abundance in Tasmania. Many people consider them a pest species, having extended their range from New South Wales over the years as water temperatures have risen. The long-spine sea urchins pose a significant threat to other marine species, such as the iconic Tasmanian abalone and southern rock lobster, both of which contribute approximately $200 million into the economy each year. So it's no wonder that we need to come up with solutions to protect them. A selection of organisations and funding bodies have stepped up to address the problem, including the Tasmanian Commercial Divers Association, the Institute of Marine and Antarctic Studies, and the Tasmanian Abalone Reinvestment Fund, which the Tasmanian government administers in partnership with the Tasmanian Abalone Council. Their efforts go beyond simply removing this species from the environment. They have turned the long-spine sea urchin into a very valuable resource.
The long-spine sea urchin come down to Tasmania via larval dispersal in the East Australian current. As the East Australian current has warmed up and got stronger, it's brought those larvae down to Tasmania, and the temperature's warmed 2 degrees, and that's been enough for the urchin to survive, those larvae to survive and then reproduce. And the first sea urchins were identified here off the northeast coast at St Helens in 1978. Since then, the population's boomed to a value of closer to 30 million sea urchins on the reefs on the east coast of Tasmania. Centris stephanus rogersii is the scientific name of this species. The presence of the sea urchin in high abundances is a concern because they cause sea urchin barrens, where the reef turns from kelp forests into barrens. We lose all the kelp, we lose the productivity, the biodiversity, and that's when it becomes an issue, when we've got lots of these sea urchins forming the barrens. What can be done, or what needs to be done, is they need to be removed.
This morning we're heading out with Shane Blackwell to come and collect some sea urchins. Very excited to get down there and see the commercial process of harvesting this species that are in abundance. So it's been a nice early start. We've had a coffee, we're ready to rumble, and yeah, it's time to get down there and have a look around. How are you feeling this morning?
Yeah, good to go.
Good to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully that sun comes up a bit sooner.
Yeah.
Makes it a bit better down there, but yeah, see how we go.
What we're aiming for today is 800 kilos at minimum.
As soon as I jumped into the water, I was struck by the sheer number of Centrostephanus rogersi in the area. Within just minutes, Shane radioed that he was ready to haul one of the 20 nets, each weighing around 40 kilograms, back to the boat. It was incredible to see how physically demanding this process is for just a team of 2 people. Despite the early hour, with the sun barely above the horizon, they managed to harvest 800 kilograms of urchins in just 90 minutes. Only about 10% of each urchin is used to extract the edible roe in each specimen.
Oh mate, that's just barren down there. Urchins everywhere. Alright, so I've just come up from that dive and that's just devastating. All I could see were urchins everywhere. There's still a few fish species. There's the banded morwong, some jackass morwong, plenty of bait fish, and an abundance of urchins. I was really hoping to see some lobster down there, but every hole that I looked into was just full of these guys.
I guess the champions of this story are the commercial divers. Their harvest is supported by subsidies through the Tasmanian government and initially through the Tasmanian Abalone Council, who initiated the subsidies, and that really accelerated the harvest. We went from about 50 tonnes to 500 tonnes.
Early 2000s, the divers, abalone divers, were reporting a more frequent sighting, if you like, of the Centrostephanus urchin. Back in about 2015, 2016, the industry recognised the magnitude of the issue with the Centrostephanus, and so we were very keen to set up a fund which could assist the urchin industry to grow and develop, because ultimately we worked out the best way to mitigate the problem was to actually eat the problem. We already knew there was a market for the product, and so we recognised as an industry, the abalone industry, that we needed an acceleration of what was a new market which required some investment to progress.
So this is the sea urchin jaw, otherwise known scientifically as Aristotle's lantern. This jaw structure has 5 segments, 5 teeth, and you can see it's a pretty big jaw for the size of the urchins. So there's 30 million of them on the east coast of Tasmania chomping down on the kelp forest. So, you know, collectively, it's how they can make significant damage. Sea urchins have a really rich, creamy, buttery, umami flavour, and they're absolutely delicious. We're starting to get a reputation for our quality now, but we need to continue to build that reputation to inform that global market about our products and the quality it is during that peak time when it is its best. Sea urchins aren't really well known on the Australian palate, so there is a potential to grow the domestic market well.
There's 2 sides to this story. One, it's bringing some fantastic economic growth to the diving industry here in Tasmania, but other species are clearly paying the price.
The next challenge was quickly loading all of the urchins onto the truck to transport to the processing facility in Hobart.
That's a man on a mission right there. So now what Shane's going to do is he's going to head back home and load all of those urchins that he's just collected up into his truck and drive them straight down to Hobart so they're as fresh as possible for his processing facility to start collecting that roe, ready for sale and export.
Is there a bit of a sense of pride knowing that you've made, over the last couple of years, such an impact for the future of our marine ecosystem in removing these long-spine sea urchins?
Yeah, the Tasmanian Commercial Dive Association has just absolutely smashed it, you know, like, you look at that mornings like that, you know, there's no one else out there doing it. Like, we've actually physically taken out 3 million kilos of urchins, if you look at it like that perspective as well. So, yeah, we've taken out a lot, made a massive impact. So we basically want to get them down to the factory in a good time to allow our workers enough to be able to do same-day processing on them if we can. Dom down at Salty Row is one of the best processors in the country as well, so we've just been trying to get some good product through there and make the best of everything that we can. Yeah, just trying to get a really good high-quality product out into the market.
These are some of the roe that was processed and caught yesterday up in St Helens. This is the finished product. Each little punnet here is $25, and look at how fantastic they look as well. This is a premium product, and it's fantastic that Tasmanians are now producing these and showing it off to the rest of the world.
There's no doubt that the east coast of Tasmania is a hotspot for climate change, and the southerly range extension of Centro has shown that quite clearly. But when you've got government and industry willing to work together, willing to come together and actually acknowledge the problem exists in the first place, conducts the necessary research, develops a strategy to manage it, and then jointly implements it, you know, this is a prime example of how we can come together and solve these issues going forward. And we should be optimistic about that.
In a throwaway culture, it's increasingly evident that waste is infiltrating our marine ecosystem. While the Great Pacific Garbage Patch has gained a lot of attention for its vast accumulation of trash, significant issues are happening right here on Australia's doorstep. One major concern is microplastics leaking from factory runoff into the Peterson River in Victoria. These microplastics make their way into Port Phillip Bay, spreading throughout the water column or settling on the sea floor, and eventually dispersing into the sea via the Bass Strait. These microplastics entering the system may pose a risk to the recreational fishermen that catch and consume fish from this area. Tangaroa Blue is an organisation that's dedicated to removing waste from our oceans and our coastlines, and they're working with local government authorities and the plastic manufacturers to come up with solutions for this very pressing issue.
Here we are in Port Phillip Bay. We are responsible for our own plastics. The Port Phillip Bay ecosystem is very unique. There is no inflow of marine debris. And then if we want to talk about microplastics, the macro breaks down and keeps breaking up and up and up and into little pieces. We also have another issue of microplastic coming from manufacturing. And this area here, Peterson River, for instance, is one of the most polluted rivers in Australia because of microplastics from the manufacturing industry. As we move into the new circular economy, we're seeing a larger increase of microplastics from the recycling sector.
Wow.
So there's got to be a lot of changes happening in the space.
What can you tell me about the microplastics within the Peterson River that are now leaching out into Port Phillip Bay?
We're surrounded by massive industries here, and a lot of those industries are plastic industries. We've seen over time industries being moved out from the more centralised Melbourne area and moving out into the suburbs, where currently at the moment there's hundreds of plastics factories. The biggest issue with the loss from manufacturing is housekeeping. Stormwater pits and stormwater drains are the reason why we're here today as well, because there is no infrastructure in that sense. It's about minimising that loss from manufacturing. Plastics have been leaching in for as long as plastics have been around and manufacturing in Australia. We see plastics as throwaway items, and that has been probably to detriment of manufacturing as well, that it just goes away.
What are some of the implications of these microplastics being present in our marine ecosystem? What does this mean even for our fish?
The damage that microplastics are doing currently to our ecosystems, and let's take Port Phillip Bay for instance here. So we can get anywhere up to 70,000 microplastics every 8 weeks in one stormwater trap. That's one factory, one outlet that's doing that, and generally those factories have multiple stormwater pits. As we keep polluting and microplastics are entering, our fish species are becoming more vulnerable and using that as a feed source. What's called resin pellets is the virgin plastic that's used in industry to make everything that we see today in its plastic. The issue with those is that they actually are like little sponges. They absorb all of the chemicals that are in the waterway as well. The microplastics that you're going to see in this particular environment here will shock you and shock the viewers. This beautiful parkland that I'm standing in front of here on its shoreline is basically a rainbow of colours, and those colours are microplastics. Just on a tidal zone that is a little beach area here, we're just wanting to have a look at what the cumulative effect of the microplastic is. So what we do is we sieve it out. So already we're starting to see some microplastics coming out, some resin pellets. So we've just taken a couple of handfuls, remembering just a couple of handfuls of sand, and here you can see a number of different resin pellets and microplastics in just that little small area there. We've roughly got about 22 pieces of microplastic here. Majority of it's made up from the manufacturing of plastics in the region here. The last high tides that were here, and you can see just in this area here, this is a very small area, but this is what's going back down over here onto the sand and out into the Peterson River and then out into the ocean. Roughly here, we'd be looking at well over 100 resin pellets. One of the big issues that we've got in Melbourne is polystyrene. Polystyrene packaging from the transport industry. And as you can see, it just keeps breaking up. It doesn't break down. Remember that, it only breaks up into smaller and smaller fragments. There isn't one issue with litter here, there's multiple issues. There's industrial litter, industrial leakage, human litter, and human leakage that needs to be dealt with. The microplastics are already occurring. Some more resin pellets from industry, dozens of them amongst there. These bags that are going to end up floating down the Peterson River and becoming, again, another entanglement issue to seabirds and to wildlife out there. This isn't fit for purpose. You know, this was designed to take stuff away, not stop at the source. So what we need to do is go back to the design drawing board. That's a stormwater system there that's attached to all of the factories on that end of this stormwater system. Throughout these waterways here, there's hundreds and hundreds of stormwater networks and kilometres of it that are unfiltered. It might be time to go. We've just had a few people come past filming us, and no doubt in any minute there could be probably a bit of a confrontation, and we'd rather avoid that today. What Tangaroa Blue is doing through Operation Clean Sweep with the plastic manufacturing industry is awareness programs, you know, going into factories, meeting with CEOs, meeting with operation managers. We look down, obviously in a lot of situations in factories and in our own lives, we generally don't look down and look at what we're doing ourselves.
Now my question is, if you were fishing here at the Peterson River, would you eat the fish that you caught?
From my perspective, and in terms of eating fish from our polluted rivers, I say no, and that is that we don't know. The studies haven't really been there, and it's something that we want to see further going forward, is the studies in microplastics in the consumption of fish. Of course, the health of the fish is going to be compromised when they're consuming plastic material. Recreational fishing in Victoria is definitely under threat from the environment sector, and there's a number of programs out there focused on rec fishers becoming that scientist. So we as a rec fishing community and society can play the role of protector. We were able to create a project that brings the rec fishing sector together. Recycle started from the data. We did a deep dive into the industry and there was no recycling. So if we're going to change behaviour, we've got to change the supply chain.
As fishermen, especially game fishermen, we often spool our reels with hundreds of metres of monofilament fishing line. Most of the time, we end up with a spool that doesn't necessarily have enough line for our next reel. Usually, something like this, with limited line left, would just throw it away. But what if that leftover fishing line could actually be put to good use? Every year, beach cleanups around the world collect hundreds of kilometres of discarded fishing line. Now, thanks to a new tool from Telford Smith and Tangaroa Blue, that line can be rewound onto a spool and repurposed, opening up exciting new possibilities.
We've been working with Tangaroa Blue now for about 3 years, and we've been working on a variety of different products and different applications, but more recently we've been working on this line cutter. Now this line cutter is effectively a pelletizer, and we've taken our experience from the plastics industry and brought it into, the fishing line industry. We take spools of fishing line, we feed it through our little machine, it cuts it into small pieces, and then with those small pieces we can then take them back to the new industry and turn that product into a pair of sunglasses or your next tackle box or any number of products that use this type of material.
It's been amazing to see though the progress of something that's never been done globally before to now being achieved this in Australia.
Our involvement with the project has been taking that chopped fishing line in here at Martog. We take it through the lab, we make sure it's not contaminated, we make sure it's of a certain quality. We're then mixing it in with some other additives. Maybe we're adding a glass fibre or we're adding some mineral fillers to enhance the properties of the material. And we're turning it back into a nib or a pallet, and that's going back to Telford Smith, completing the loop there and allowing them to make some really great products out of effectively recycled nylon fishing line.
Now that mould could be anything. It could be your next fishing rod holder or a pair of sunglasses or any number of applications like that.
Coming from the perspective of somebody that is completely uneducated about what we can do with these recycled materials, it's incredibly exciting to see this collaboration between Tangaroa Blue and Telford Smith and other organisations to create some fantastic products that can be recycled and back into the consumer economy. I think it's a wonderful thing that is occurring, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for some of these products that are made from recycled materials. After seeing firsthand the problems that we're facing, it's encouraged me to get out the utensils and go for a little bit of a beach cleanup. It'll be interesting to see the amount of rubbish that I can find in a short period of time. That was a very interesting session. It's time to head over to the bin and we'll pour out and show you what we've found. There's quite a lot there. Wow. Alrighty, there's 20 minutes worth of work. Quite a lot of fishing line and plastic bottles, the big culprit. I don't like these guys and you're about to find out why. But it's remarkable what difference you can make with 20 minutes of your time to protect the environment. So I encourage everyone to go out there and have some fun and clean up some rubbish. A standard plastic bottle in our ocean will take on average 100 years to break down, eventually turning into microplastics. So where do these microplastics go? Well, in short, eventually back into our own food chain. One very simple measure that everybody can employ is using a stainless steel reusable drink bottle. I myself take this with me absolutely everywhere. It's estimated that over the past 2 years alone, I've saved 1,460 plastic bottles by reusing my drink bottle. Over a lifetime of avoiding plastic bottles, you could conservatively save 60,590 plastic bottles. That's based on an Australian lifespan of 83 years old. We're about to head out onto the water to experience the absolute joy of recreational fishing in Port Phillip Bay. We understand that this area is being affected by the microplastic runoff into the bay in some way, shape or form. But I've had the opportunity to catch up with Russell Conway to hear about some of the positive news and changes that have been implemented that contribute to a fantastic fishery at present.
As part of my role as being a recreational fisher, I joined a club. I then joined the local fishing association, and as part of that I was placed or given the opportunity to be part of the Recreational Fishing Trust Fund. The government has asked us as fishers what do we want, and we've been able to instill that information and that knowledge back into the government, and then they've taken that and reinvested it back to making fishing better for everyone. We tell people, before you go fishing, make sure you decide whether you're going to release that fish or whether you're going to eat it. If you're not going to eat it, then use tackle that's actually going to be good for a sport fishing release type process. So use circle hooks. Fish suffer from barrow trauma. If you're intending to sport fish, well then fish shallow. You won't get that same barrow trauma. So when you release the fish can actually swim away. What we've learned through research is that fish up to, say, 35 centimetres probably haven't had their first opportunity of breeding. Bag limit is 10 fish per person, of which 7 need to be under 40 centimetres and 3 that can be greater than 40 centimetres. The main reason for that is, one, to allow people to take fish home, but to also allow the breeding fish to remain inside in the system and continue to breed and produce the next generation of fish for us. One flathead can lay hundreds of thousands of eggs. So we've learned a lot about fish management. We've designed rules that are in the best interest of both the fish species and the fisher people. There's 800,000 fishers in Victoria. That's 20% of the population of Victoria. They were mainly male 20, 30, 40 years ago. Now they are the whole family. The kids are the ones that are going to benefit. Fishing is an extremely important part of Victorian family life, and we're doing our best to make sure that that continues into the future.
So we're just pulling up to the snapper grounds, and it's definitely a popular day to be out on the water. We've just counted around 50 boats here behind me, which is, to me, quite bizarre. I don't think I've seen a congregation of boats this close together. When the snapper bites on, everyone's out here making the most of it. All right, we've got a little bit going on here. I'm eating a cookie and I'm catching a flathead. How's that? Definitely not dinner, but certainly a lot of fun. Alrighty, see you later, buddy. Unfortunately, this morning we didn't get the target species that we were after, but it was fantastic seeing so many boats around, enjoying the water and catching a couple of flathead. And that's even more reason to protect it, to ensure that there's plenty of fish for years to come. There's been some fantastic fisheries management to make sure that that happens.
We are always in hot water, whether it's in the fishing industry right now, the marine ecosystem. I feel like where SCF and our community has got to recently, I'm really proud of what we've done, and I'm really excited to see what we can do in the future, because I know at some point, everything that we've done will really make a difference.
The Fish and Estuary Clean Queensland is a fantastic initiative where fishermen and outdoor enthusiasts can positively contribute to our environment through important data management and cleaning up our estuaries. Every fisherman has a story to tell, why they love being out in the environment and why they love connecting with these animals, whether it be for data collection or to take home for a feed. We're following along and learning about these personalities and why they love connecting with nature and doing what they do out on the water. And the objective is to inspire you to get out amongst our ecosystem and look after it with the same level of care that these personalities do.
Today we're out fishing a comp. It's a fishing comp and a cleanup, collecting data for citizen science. So it's a good initiative from the boys, and hopefully we can find a few fish. I've been fishing this system my whole life. So I grew up here. It's such a small system, but it changes, and it has changed so much over the years. Fishing for me, it's a massive getaway. Everyone works hard, and to get out here and just be able to disconnect, focus on the fish and just enjoy the time out in the water, and that's what it's all about for me. So in the comp today, we've got a fish mat, some gloves for the cleaning up, bio can, we've got the t-shirt, and of course, a bag to pull the rubbish in. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to catch some fish and we're going to clean up some rubbish. Yep, that was a good bite. So that's going to be a jewfish. Yeah, there he is there. So we've got a nice little school dewie here. It's such an incredible fish. I'd normally be fishing deeper water for them, but they can come up into the shallows. As you see, there's not a lot of sun, so they're still up in the shallows feeding. It's one of the fun things about them is, you know, so hard to find. And once you find them, it can be hard to get them to eat, but we got it done. So what we're doing now, taking a photo of fish on the brag map provided, so we can upload him so they can get all that data for that citizen science for this comp. This is probably the average size this year so far. Nice 55 centimetre fish, but how can you complain about that?
It really is quite inspiring how many people are out and about on this beautiful Sunday morning, taking in the scenery and looking after our ecosystem. It is such a fantastic form of therapy being out on the water. Having a friend as well to go out fishing with and be inspired by all of your surrounds, it really is the perfect reset.
Fishing is one of those super important things. You can go out with mates. If you need to talk about something, you can talk about it, or you can talk about nothing and just enjoy nature. I think that's honestly why my dad probably got me into fishing. It's one of those things, you know, he loves it. He loves heading out, and then if you can get your friends and family into it as well, it's just so important. It's so therapeutic. Everyone's battling those demons and everyone's on the grind, and yeah, even if it's for a couple of hours, you can head out and chat to your mates and relax. Here we're going to lodge that jewfish that I caught earlier. So we just go to submit catch, species, mulloway. There he is. Length is 55 centimetres. Lure, you can choose lure, bait or dive. Released, yes. Photo library, there he is there. All of that data will be submitted and go into that citizen science, and the people that know what they're doing can have a look at it and check the fisheries out from everything that we're doing out in the water on a on a day-to-day basis.
We managed to find a little bit of rubbish on that run, some crocs. I don't think this one's quite going to fit my foot, but yeah, we certainly pulled some fantastic trash out of there. Unfortunately, I've done a bit of a doozy, but it's the price you pay for not wearing your socks when you're going for a dive or not having your flippers on. We'll go and get patched up, and I think we'll keep going for the day.
I'm a commercial fisherman here on the Sunshine Coast, so I thought I'd come down and jump in the water and do a bit of a clean up for SCF for their clean up and fishing day. Oh, this one had me a little bit baffled on the bottom. I was thinking about leaving it there. I thought it might have been just a branch, but then I picked it up and it was a plastic plant. Oh, look, I've grown up on the coast here, and it's the ecosystem's still pretty good. It's just getting busier. There's a lot more pressure on the area, but generally the fish is still there, and provided we keep it clean, it should be good in years to come.
So it is the first fish and estuary clean that we have run, and for the first time we have had 26 different species of fish recorded. So by 10 a.m. we had over 1,900 pieces of rubbish submitted. It ranged from everything from your tiny little microplastics to cans to bottles, even old camping chairs, old fishing line, lures, lots of different bits and pieces of rubbish. Myself and my young family actually got together and did a small photo shoot to promote this event. My son's 4 and I was actually so impressed. We took him out, we were picking up rubbish with a bucket. Ever since, he's actually been going around the street, around the park, actively looking for rubbish and picking up, and the excitement where he's like, "Mum, I found rubbish," and sort of a bit like a treasure hunt, but for him, obviously, just having that conversation and really opening up, why is the rubbish there? What is it going to do to our wildlife? It's made a really big difference to us as a family, and I really hope that a lot of the other participants today take that away with their young children.
I get angry over microplastics because they shouldn't be there from manufacturing. It's petroleum. It's a deadly chemical, and yet we treat it as something that is just part of our society. It's not. It's dangerous and it's damaging. Littering is just not what our conscience should be. It's like wreck fishing. When I pick up a piece of fishing line, it's not the person walking the dog. The dog walker's got their dog poo problem. The cigarette guy, he's got the cigarette problem. Fishing's got their own problems. So we've all got to take ownership of those. Submit data and be part of it. Leave it better than you found it. That's number one thing. Leave it better than you found it.
Here in Tasmania, the harvest of the sea urchin is really seen as a success, not just within Australia, but globally.
If the Tasmanian abalone industry hadn't worked collaboratively with the Tasmanian government, we'd be in a very dire situation now with regard to that section of our fishery. If those Centra stephanus hadn't been harvested or removed, they will continue to expand, basically destroying entire reef ecosystems, and there's nothing that survives. It's very important that we maintain that biodiversity, and at the same time, it's helping us solve an environmental problem. So, winners all around.
We have an ongoing research project here at IMAS and actually with the Institute of Agriculture to turn the sea urchin waste, which is the majority of the biomass, into a agricultural application. So it's really exciting to be exploring all the circular economy activities and options for these sea urchins, the sea urchin waste.
The broader benefits of oyster farming are largely covered in the fact that the environment is cleaner and better.
In New York, they're actually doing a project called the Billion Oyster Project, where they are collecting the oyster shells from restaurants and putting them into the Hudson River to create habitat for oyster spat to regenerate that river. You can imagine the Hudson River's been quite polluted over the years, but they're doing the job. They're filtering all that water and making the Hudson clean again.
They will eat bad things as well as good things. So it's really important for us as a community to make sure our waterways are clean of, for example, heavy metals, for example, dirty pollutants, that will enable the waterways to be clean in the first place, but also enable us to have a safe and enjoyable experience eating these lovely shellfish. The more we eat, the more we produce. The more we produce, the better the environment is.
The movement for consumers is to be more conscious of where their food is coming from. So having the knowledge that when you've come home after dinner that you haven't contributed any pollution into the marine environment by consuming aquaculture products, I think is just good money spent.
This journey has opened my eyes into the challenges facing Australia's marine ecosystem. After conversing with many personalities, it's evident that there is room for improvement, but I'm left feeling truly inspired by the progress that is being made around the country. What puts me at ease is knowing that I can make a difference by consuming species like long-spine sea urchins or oysters, both of which have fantastic benefits for our bodies, but also the marine ecosystem. I feel as if there is a noticeable shift in the way that we interact with our environment. Picking up trash is like a treasure hunt or a form of therapy, and finding new and innovative ways to recycle is very exciting. And catch and release fishing alongside citizen science is not only providing plenty of personal satisfaction, but it's providing very valuable data to the decision makers that can further benefit our marine species into the future. I truly hope that this film encourages you to support particular products and avoid others.
and inspires you to look at your own environmental footprint. Awareness is the first step to impactful change. By making small adjustments in our daily routines, together we can all make a significant impact.
I know this weekend I'll be floating on the blue, riding between the troughs, making memories with you. And when I see that storm beaming down to me, we'll be running back to shore, to the fire with a cup of tea. I'll put my boots on, the Tassie brand we wore, to check the surf's not up, where the ocean hugs the shore. Picking up the trash, an example made for who? Equipment packed in my backpack, an adventure made for you. Ooh, oh. Protection's in our heart. Protection's in our heart. Protection's in our heart. Protection is the start.